Hello and welcome. Hopefully you can hear and see us. I was waiting for a response then, but no one's going to answer. My name is Tim from Signage Live, and joining me is Joe.
Hello, I'm Joe, and I do Signage Live Explored here.
And I'm Digital Signage Explored. So this is our very first attempted live stream.
Mm-hmm.
We have been testing for a while, but there is potential for failure around every corner. So if there are any technical issues or anything, let us know in the chat. Joe is keeping an eye on everything to make sure that we're able to see your comments, questions. And the intention today is to go through the Digital Signage glossary. It's something we've been working on, basically asking questions of people in the audience or people that we know in industry. What are the terminologies that confused you when you first started? And to be honest with you, there's a lot of people that, even after working in the industry for a year or 2 years, there are gaps in the knowledge and there's holes.
Oh, definitely. Even for myself.
Well, we're going to test that theory today. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ask Joe what each of these mean and see if he can answer. And full disclaimer, I don't expect you to get every single one of these, because there's elements from hardware, software, vendors, the actual kind of strategy around how resellers work. So there's a lot that we're going to be covering.
Yep.
So you don't need to get 100% marks. But if you don't know what a CMS is, for example, then
I'll get up and leave.
Yeah, that might be a problem. So the intention today is to go through that. If you're live on the chat right now, say hello. Let us know you're there. I would love to get some feedback.
We do have a hello. We've got Deacon here. Hello, Deacon.
Hi, Deacon. Thank you very much for joining us. If you go through this and there's one missing, let us know. We'll update this glossary. Joe also has a link to this glossary, which is going to be shared in the chat as we go through. So you can take that away as a downloadable today, which should be really, really helpful. There's probably around 50 of these in here, which is a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot.
So we might not cover all of them today, but we're going to take a fair chunk of them and go from there.
And we've also got Stephen Elkington here. Hello, Steve.
Hey, Stephen, how you doing?
Hope you're well. And I've just put the glossary here in the chat as well, and that's on LinkedIn.
Perfect.
I'll put it on the YouTube one.
Now, we've got to be careful because Stephen is very well versed in live streaming. So if we mess anything up, we're going to be called out for that. So, appreciate your feedback as well, Stephen. Now, obviously, the glossary is going to cover a lot. There are things here, especially if you're new in industry, I think it'll be really, really useful. So if you do know somebody who's just joined in industry, then feel free to share this link along. This will be captured as a video afterwards. It'll be shared on social media. It will be available on Digital Signage Explored later on, which you can subscribe to as well. Go to the Learn and Explore Center in Signage Live, where you'll see both Joe and I's content. Are you ready to get started?
I think so.
Okay, we're going to start off with some easy ones. So on page 1, shuffle my pages on here. What do we refer to? Well, when we're talking about digital signage, hardware.
Hardware.
What is hardware?
Well, hardware would be much what we're looking at in this room. We've got plenty of media players around us, and any media player that can run a CMS system or can run a digital signage platform on them, we would call that hardware. Yep,
that makes a lot of sense. And these are going to get progressively harder, so that was a bit of an easy one. System on chip.
System on chip is those same media players. When we have media players that actually have the screen capabilities built into them, as opposed to being an external media player that you have to hook up to a separate screen.
Okay, good. 10 out of 10 points. If you are trying to figure out these, I'd love to know if people have like a point system. It'd be interesting to see if anyone slips up on any of these, because they said some of them get quite difficult to define rather than anything.
Yeah.
If we talk about then a device or a player, so it's from a hardware, you're obviously talking, a screen could be a hardware, cables could be hardware, it's anything with a physical item. But then when we're talking about a device or a player for digital signage, what would that be?
So the term is device or player, is that what?
Device/player.
Device/player. Yeah. So I guess if we take hardware as anything that can be paired with digital signage in any capacity, then we would use hardware, the player as a device that can play back media. In some way, shape or form. Yeah,
in essence, a device or a player for digital signage designed to manage and deliver multimedia content to the screens. If required, it can be connected to a network for remote content updates. So 100%.
Absolutely. We've also got Dylan and Terence here now. Hi, guys.
Hey, Dylan. Hey, Terence.
Thanks for joining.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. The next one, LED displays. Extra points if you know what LED stands for.
I do, but am I right in thinking there are two definitions for LED? Because I know it as like lighting emitting diode.
Yep, 100%.
But is there something else?
Not that I've got written down here.
Right.
Which this has been some internal research plus a little bit of a mix of some AI learning. So I could be wrong. If there's anyone in chat that knows any more, all I have here is light emitting diode. There's pixels. They offer high contrast ratios, traditional projection, and often provide greater on-screen visibility in sunlit or artificially lit environments.
Yep.
Then, okay, going on to the next one then. If you've got LED, the other one is LCD.
Yep. Oh, LCD.
Yeah.
That's old, isn't it?
That's
old.
That's
LCD
an
is
older
older
one.
than LED. And it's something to do with the way that these screens are lit. I know that.
Yeah.
And I know that we've got OLED as well.
That's coming up.
Is that
It's
coming up?
later.
Right. Because I know the difference, but I can't tell you what LCD stands for. And I don't know the difference between that and LED, but I know that LED is better than LCD. Because LCD or am I wrong here?
Do you know, I don't know about that one. I don't know the definition. This is going to be an episode of us saying things we don't know. Stephen actually says, how about SMD LED? Which I don't know what that is. So Stephen, if you know that, if you can add it into the chat, I'd love to add that to the glossary here, because we don't have SMD LED. But LCD is liquid crystal displays. And I think that was the one where, you're right, I think it's slightly older, because they used to, if they would crack or smash, there would be like a liquid effect to them. Like they would just become warped.
Yep.
SMD LED. I'm really intrigued. Stephen, if you're still there, I'd love to get your feedback on that one, because I don't have a clue what that is. Small manufactured display. Do you want to take a guess?
No.
SMD.
No, I don't.
Sometimes it's smarter just to not say anything. Then we've got OLED, as you mentioned before, OLED.
So I think OLED, and I'm doing this from memory here, but I think OLED is meant to be the most crystal clear of those three terms.
Yeah.
And
it's more what the O, because the LED is the same, but what's the O?
I don't know what the O stands for. I know what it is, though. I think this is something to do with the way that the light is dispersed on them. And I think it's the OLED is the one that gives you true black, because it actually disables the pixels, if I'm right.
Yep.
But then the LED has like an actual pixel that would be lighting black.
Yeah, so you're right. In essence, what the OLED does is the when displaying true black, it just turns the pixel off, rather than a combination of red, green, and blue that makes. Which I still don't understand how that technology works, but I know it does. Any guesses on the O? I wouldn't have got this.
Obscure.
No, organic.
Organic.
Yeah. Doesn't really define why it says organic, but organic light emitting diode.
I guess it's something to do with the fact that that's an organic action of turning off a pixel.
It's organically black because there is no light.
Yeah.
It's the lack of light rather than trying to fake the color.
This is a random tangent that I'm going to go on now, but
okay.
I used to work in, I mean, you know this, but I used to work in a school as a lighting designer. And when I did that, a part of that would be doing the lights for the kids for their drama plays and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And there was a particular unit where you had the kids would essentially design the lighting for their particular play that they were doing. And I lost count of the amount of times I would say to the kids, so what's happening now? Because they would talk me through what they want lighting wise, and I would program it for them.
Right.
And I've lost count of the amount of times where I went, what color lights do you want here? And they go black.
You go, my job here is done.
So you want a blackout. You don't want any lights. You don't want a black light.
They don't like a black light, like the purple kind of.
No, that's not what I mean. They just want a blackout. They want no lights on. But they're like, can we have a black light, please?
Yeah, great, perfect. That makes it nice and easy. Did you just go home at that point? I'm done. Stephen says surface-mounted device. Flat LEDs that give really high resolution. Before SMD, it was a lot of little bulbs. So I'll add that onto this.
Yeah, that's cool.
Get that updated. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephen.
This one I would have been totally stumped on. Well, we're trying to explain it. So NFC.
NFC.
Yeah.
For some reason, my head went to NFTs there.
Yeah, not NFTs. Different.
That's not digital signage.
That's a different podcast we do later on.
Yeah, no, NFC. No idea.
Okay, so near field communication. So it's a wireless technology that allows a device to communicate with each other when they're close to us. So basically, it's the same thing as like if you have your phone up against and you want to do like a pay, like Apple Pay or something like that.
Right.
So it's all just near field communication. A device is near another device, and therefore it will then be able to communicate with it for a period of time. So contactless payment, data sharing, access control, quick secure interactions by simply tapping and waving devices.
Nice.
That's NFC. Not always used in digital signage, but it does come up. So
would something like the Bluetooth sensor come up as that? Would that count as an NFC? Because that picks up phone signals, right? When you're...
I don't know. I don't know if there's. I would assume they're two different definitions because NFC technology is just its own. You can enable and disable it on your phone, right? For example, if I'm going up to tap my phone, I can turn off my card. I don't know if that's part of the NFC technology, but we know we've got an Exmosphere board over there which has some NFC elements in it.
Yeah.
Which we can show a little bit later on as well. Then we'll just check how. Yeah, they actually grow the diodes. Hey, Asher, welcome to the stream. Thank you very much for joining. Right, we're going on to the next one.
Let's do it.
This one I'm very familiar with, but I'm not sure how often you're going to come across it, which is DOOH.
DOOH.
Do. Often mentioned as do.
Oh, I know what it stands for, but I can't remember what it means.
I think that's a decent amount if you can tell me what it stands for.
Digital out of home?
Yeah. In essence, just any digital signage that isn't in a building, or it's typically you see it in like shopping centres or out on billboards.
Drive-throughs?
It depends. Yeah, I guess it depends. If it's digital out of home, it's typically a lot of it's advertising.
Yeah.
Not necessarily exclusively, but typically it is. If you think of the drive-through, I mean, if it's you almost like airing on QSR, I guess it almost depends on what you're using it for.
Yeah.
And QSR is, I don't know if I've got QSR in here now that I say that. Quick service restaurants. Not really a digital signage term. So rental transparent will be trend. Okay, interesting. Digital out of home. Yes, so digital out of home refers to digital advertising that you see outside of your home, like electronic billboards, screens at bus stops, shopping malls, in airports, instead of traditional printed ads. Digital out of home uses digital screens to display dynamic and changing content such as videos or animation, allowing advertisers to easily update and target their messaging in real time.
Nice.
Okie doke. This one, I think you'll get GPU.
Graphics processing unit.
Yep.
And that is essentially
processes
the graphics in your devices.
Yeah, 100%. So graphics processing unit, special part of a computer or device that handles graphic or visuals, helps create images, videos, animations you see on the screen, making them look smooth and more detailed. GPUs are especially important for gaming, video editing, and tasks requires a lot of video processing power. So we have Brightside XE5 over in the corner there, has a lot more GPU power than like something like a small stick or dongle. So its capabilities of being able to run far more graphically intense content goes up. So 4K, 8K, higher GPU required, more motion and animation from things like HTML5 or anything that requires kind of pulling data and then putting that into an animation live rather than kind of pre-rendered. Will be really important.
That makes sense.
We're nearly at the end of hardware. No, we're not. I lie. I tell a complete lie. Bezel.
Bezel. I know bezels. It's essentially the edge of your screen, right?
Yep. In essence, yeah. It's just a bit of plastic that you see visually around the edge of a screen. And you would think that we would have one in vision here, but we don't. And I'm not going to start touching the camera. In fact, what I can do, let's just live test something here.
Yeah, see if we can go to...
If this doesn't work. So there's a peek behind the scenes. This is the live studio setup at the Signage Live head office here. So you can see all of these screens have some kind of bezel.
Yeah. And then, I mean, the reason I know bezel so well lately is because of those four over there that you might be able to see. You can see like you're not...
Sorry.
You can see a glimpse of them in the corner.
Yeah.
We've got a 4x1 video wall that we've recently changed. And it's a Brightside XE5, but in order to not cut off some of the content, wanted to make sure, because that screen in particular has quite big bezels, we wanted to make sure that we separate the content by configuring the player in such a way that we compensate for the bezels.
Yeah, 100%. And when you're talking about bezels as well, it's worth mentioning that some bezels are much smaller than others, and that depends on their use case and what you want to be using for, whether it be like a video wall or something like that.
Yeah.
HDMI.
Oh, I don't know what it stands for.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. So
I know what it is, but I don't know what it stands for.
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah.
Want to take a guess? HD.
High definition.
Yep.
Something interface, maybe?
No? Yeah, you've got it all but the M. Take a stab. Just throw a long dart.
So we've got high definition Media interface?
There you go.
Oh,
You got
there you
it.
go.
Nailed
Nice,
it. Well
nice.
done. And that was,
Nice.
I was like, I'm going to put you in this corner and just see how you react.
That actually, it feels harder filling in a letter in the middle than it does filling
It's
in one
like
at
the most intense game of Hangman displayed there. High definition multimedia interface is a type of cable that allows you to connect devices like TVs, computers, game consoles to send high quality video and sound. For example, you can use HDMI cables to connect to your laptop and TV. Everyone's used an HDMI cable at certain points, but as you say, sometimes you just hear the definition of the term and
you're like, oh yeah, it's a HDMI. That's just what it is.
Why would you question it?
Yeah,
Right. It's like I couldn't tell you what SCART was. Do you,
I know SCART. I couldn't tell you what it was.
No, I have no idea what SCART.
But I know the cables.
Before your time.
Yeah, before my time. Controversial one on HDMIs though. Do those gold-plated cables, are they better?
Do they make
or
a difference?
Not? Do they make a difference?
I don't know. I only just found out a little while ago that they have a maximum distance. I mean, it's not a lot. I think it's like 6 meters or something before they become ineffective, and you need like a repeater. And we found that when we were doing a show. We were doing the show floor at ISE this year, and they were like, "Oh, we can't do it. Not for for HD, it goes further, but if you want 4K, it's shorter."
Yeah, right.
Now, I could have been told a lie there. That's not part of the glossary, but that's what I was informed.
Asher also, she got media as well.
Nice.
So,
well done, Asher. Yeah. See, I think it's just one of those things. Sometimes it just is like, why would you question it?
Yeah, because that's just what it is.
It's just what it's called. Otherwise, we're going to be questioning all of the acronyms that come around and you'll be there all day.
Yeah.
So the other one then is screen burnout. Less so an acronym, is just a thing that happens.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've had too many screens at a time come victim to this upstairs in the support area.
Yeah,
essentially your pixels die and that's it really. I don't even think there's much coming back from that. Is there? Like when your screen burns out, you can't go and get it fixed, right?
In essence, yeah, it's just a process of time. The screen just eventually burns out. Things that can make it worse is having the same image on there for a long period of time. Things have gotten better, but at the end of the day, after technology's been around for 5 years, it just starts to feel the stretch time. Stephen says HDMI over fiberglass goes a lot longer.
Oh,
that's really interesting. I had no idea about that. So that's
I suppose fiber seems to in any like exchange or interconnectivity, like fiber is just up there, isn't it?
You realise how much we put ourselves on a pedestal to have to answer all these questions and come back with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is collated information from a group of individuals, and we're just the representatives. So screen burnout. Common off on older displays, especially like plasma or LED. New screens have features to help prevent it, like timeouts and the energy saving.
And it starts by looking like purple, right? Like your corners will start going purple on your screen. And
it depends.
And that's how I've seen it anyway, unless it's a different kind of
I have a really vivid imagination. I'm going to do my aside now for a moment. When I was a kid, my grandma was looking after me and babysitting, and I had those darts that you used to throw as a kid. They had a magnet rather than a dart.
Oh yeah.
I just put it on the TV and I just went, and it just drew a smiley face, and then it was just this purple smile. I don't think I don't think that ended well for me. I think it did eventually vanish, but it was risky. The other one, we've mentioned it already, but just so we've got that definition in there, video walls.
Yeah, so video walls is a collection of screens in... is that how you would define it? A collection of screens in a unified fashion?
Yeah. I mean, it's the same language. They're tiled together for a larger than life viewing experience. That might be some more playful language. But designed to be arranged in various configurations with a unified visual typically to make sure that they kind of come
I would say, if they're not bezel to bezel, is it still a video wall?
I personally would say depends on the content.
Yeah.
If the
I guess if the content's like going from one screen to another and it's acting like it is a video wall, then it's a video wall. But
I'm actually questioning myself on that one. I don't know.
Nice.
What do you think?
We've got tons of follow-up questions here.
What do you... Yeah, I know we've got more research to do here than we started. This one is the only one that you have to get right by definition, which is CMS.
Yeah. I don't know what it stands for, though, to be fair.
Content.
Content management system.
Yeah.
Of course I know what it stands for.
I
did. I was like, I blanked for a moment.
This is the high pressure.
Yeah, it's the pressure of it. It's the pressure.
CMS... Do you want to give your version of it? There's 1,000 different ways you can define it. But
I would define it as a system that allows you to manage your content.
Yeah.
Like it's basically taking the acronym, putting it backwards.
Yeah.
But it's like that central hub where everything happens from like your publishing to, in some cases, the creating of your content. And it's like that main base, I suppose, for all of your content, which, Signage Live is the main base for, everyone who uses Signage Live. SignageLive.com is your home base where you're managing all of your content and your scheduling and your players.
Yeah, in essence, it's just, it is the delivery of the content, it's managing the networks, managing the players, managing configurations of things like layouts and publishing that content out and basically hosting that content and then distributing it out to the devices as and when you need them. The other one on there, which kind of goes hand in hand, and this one we don't typically deal with as often, but a device manager.
Right.
So would you know the difference of a device manager with what the variables there would be?
Immediately comes to mind for some reason something like the ClickShare, because ClickShare it's not necessarily a CMS system where you're uploading your content, although you can manage what is on your screen with a ClickShare device, but that is a portal that is purely designed for you to go in and configure that device.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what it would be?
In essence, a device manager, there are elements of device management within Signage Live, but typically a device manager goes a level deeper. Chrome OS is a device manager that you've utilized to make sure that all the devices are, you can turn on and off functions like, do you want your device to be able to receive anything through the USB port? So for example, from a security perspective, you might say, actually, I don't want any devices out in the field right now to be able to accept anything from a USB from a security perspective.
Yeah.
But I want to be able to make sure that my players turn on and do this, or I'm sending firmware updates. And then that's the device manager will be kind of like your highest level manager of the devices. Yeah. And then you'd have your CMS on that for the content distribution. And CMSs do have some pieces of that.
Yeah.
But it's not always as in depth as a dedicated device management.
And I suppose are most device management portals remote?
I would assume for it being useful, yeah. Well, I guess you would have for things that are on premise, there'd still be like an on-premise device management portal, but typically that's just an interface into whatever physical device you're looking at there and then. So I mean, typically in our world, we would see them being remote portals or cloud portals.
Yeah, cloud-based, yeah.
Speaking of which, this one I don't necessarily think you would have come into as much from a support perspective, but SaaS in general, SaaS.
Software as a service.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say as a system then, but...
Yeah, I didn't know what SaaS stood for a very long time, and I never asked anyone, and I very quietly went, come on, I'm going to Google this real quick. And then I was like, oh, right, okay, yeah.
You're like, oh, of course, SaaS. Yeah.
Software as a service, basically how are you paying for the model of the service you're looking for? Either you're doing SaaS, i.e. you're purchasing it on an annual or biannual or weekly licensing volume, whatever that ends up being, rather than purchasing a forever license and forever device. Benefit.
I thought it was, I mean, I guess it could be the same thing, but I thought it was like, as Signage Live, for example, we don't sell anything physical, right? We sell software as a service. Is that the same definition that we're talking about here? Like, is it something that doesn't have like a physical presence that you're selling? Yeah,
it is in essence. I think it's more just the fact that when you purchase that license, you have an expectation of longevity for the duration of that license.
Right.
So if I purchase a 1-year license, I would expect that service is still up and running and giving me the same, if not more, feature functionality over that period of time. Whereas the opposite would be I buy Adobe's a good example of how Adobe used to do it with their, you buy Adobe 10.
Yeah.
And you'd pay $4,000 for Adobe 10, and then a year Adobe 11 comes out, but you still got Adobe 10, but you're not paying anymore for it. It's just a static that will continue to deteriorate until eventually, you have to buy a new one because it crashes or stops working. Cool. Lost my train of thought. RSS. Do you know what RSS stands for? So I didn't know until I started doing this.
I don't actually know.
It's another one of those that came up, and it's really simple syndication.
That's what it stands for.
That's what it stands
for. Because I know what it is. I know it's to do with feeds and like news feeds and stuff. But the actual RSS itself.
Yeah, I didn't know that until I started doing this research.
So what was it again?
Really simple syndication, which I like. It's like that kind of KISS, like keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
I like that kind of someone from a technical level when they were building this went, it's just really simple syndication. And they're like, you should definitely call it that. So it's a web feed format used to publish frequently updated content like blog posts, news headlines, audios and videos, solving troubles of visualizing individual sites to find your favorite content. RSS feeds can be subscribed to via an RSS reader. So often typical podcasts and things will be running in the same kind of system as well.
Yeah.
More of a software one here for us. I want to see how many of these we've still got left. We've got quite a few. but we're only 25 minutes in.
We're getting through it. We're doing
We
good.
are getting through it. Is RSS still used much? I don't necessarily think it's not as top priority. It was very kind of, I say it was flashy and new, but it's old. It's an old platform, but it was used a lot in digital signage in like maybe 10 years ago. It's still a tool that's often used because
I think the use of it is being reduced though, for sure. Because I know that there are some news outlets out there that used to have like a
Free,
lot.
yeah.
They used to have a lot of free RSS feeds that you could just go and take, and now they're reducing all of them. I don't know why, but they're reducing them down to if you want the option of RSS, you can just get one feed from them now instead of getting a host of different feeds from different categories on their website of like what content you're trying to pull into wherever you want to use it.
Yeah, it's definitely being used less and less from what I'm seeing. But there's a variable here where you've got an RSS feed, which is this kind of, I mean, if you've ever seen a visual of an RSS feed, I don't know what I'm looking at. It looks like code, but it is in essence, what we use it in digital signage for typically is a text ticker. Yeah. And that's still quite often used. It might just not be used by RSS anymore. It might be used by, another kind of service or platform. It's just a very simple way of pulling. Yeah. We use the word simple. They really did design that name well.
I don't know if you've got it on there, but I think that what is more common now is MRSS feeds.
Okay. Oh, media RSS feeds. Yeah. They became, I think they started using those a lot more. I'm a real podcast addict, so they used to do like podcasts with RSS feeds, so you could go and see pictures that they'd submit into the video files. But I haven't seen many of them being used in digital signage. I might be wrong. Okay, let's go on to the next one. POP.
Is that an us term?
That's an us term.
It is an us
I don't
term.
think it's not definitively just us, but it is something that we...
Because I know it's proof of play, but I didn't know if it was exclusive to Signage Live or if it is a widely used term.
It's used. I don't think it's widely used because it's so definitive of what it does. But we can go into that. I mean, do you want to give your assessment of what proof of play does?
Yeah, I think it's... Well, I know it is like a reporting system of when your content... It's like the confirmation of a piece of content successfully completing a playback on a device.
Yeah. And I think that's really important to define the difference between what proof of play does, which is just to say that successfully a media asset has successfully played. And rather than it being assumptive, rather than it saying, well, the screen was on and we sent it content, so we assume it sent, the asset itself comes back to the CMS in question and says, I've returned, I've come back and I did what I was supposed to do. Yeah. In comparison, I know often POP or proof of play gets compared with kind of analytics and like vision analytics, but it's not that high level. It's more about raw data. Did it successfully deliver when it was supposed to? Yeah. That data then gets paired with more intelligence on top of that, like saying, well, we know in that area we had a camera and it registered this, kind of gender split or how many people were in front of the screen, all that kind of stuff. But proof of play is the foundation of just being able to capture if assets successfully were delivered. Cool. This one I didn't know before this. SDK.
I know it relates to widget SDK. It's something to do with like the building of widgets. I can't remember what the SDK stands for though.
You want to hazard another guess? You can say no.
No, I'm gonna do it.
Okay, go for it.
It's something to do with like development software.
Yeah.
Development kit.
There you go.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
But you're like 100% on your throwing them out there and getting them right. You're just gonna have to be more confident and say it's this.
Yeah. It's like it's in my head, but I'm like shying on the line of do I try it?
Yeah, 100%.
But no. What the definition though is it to do with building a particular widget, right? And like a deliverable to a platform.
I'm going to let the preloaded questions here answer because I'm not going to get this right. So they're designed to help developers make software applications for specific platforms or frameworks. So simplifying the process, they provide a pre-written code and APIs for tasks like user interface design, data management, and hardware interactions. SDK also helps ensure compatibility and adhere to platform guidelines as they are tailored to various languages and platforms. So including things like Android, iOS, and web. So it's a language tool from the way I can understand it. And this is beyond me, but it's a kit that allows people to program and build into a platform of choice. Yeah.
I think when you say widget SDK, I think of GitHub. That's what I think of.
I don't think of much. I'll be honest with you. But it's, and I know if we had someone in Signage Live here that's more technical, then they'd be able to answer it in more detail. But to be honest with you, that's as much as I need to understand. And unless you These are one of those that if you know what an SDK is, you're probably a lot more familiar with it than we are. So we should stop talking about it and move on.
Yeah.
IoT.
IoT.
Yeah. That's another broad one.
It's another one. I know what it stands for, but I don't know what it means.
Okay. What does it stand
it's
for?
Internet of Things.
Yeah.
But I think the internet's full of things. So
You are not wrong.
so what things?
I mean, honestly, I was researching IoT and I got stuck on this the first time I heard of it. It says, "Oh, it's an IoT device," and I was like, "Oh no, another one." But and I was like, after I looked up, you're literally right. It's internet. It's Internet of Things is a key driver of digital transformation, encompassing networks of interconnected devices, embedding with sensors, software, and other technologies that can communicate with each other over the internet. In essence, anything that has an internet connection that can communicate with other things with internet connections is an IoT.
So essentially, basically all of this room, our laptops, everything we're using right now, because they can communicate with each other using the internet. Yeah.
It's in essence incredibly broad. But I know that trips some people up when you go, "Oh, it's an IoT device," and you go, "Well, a chair isn't an IoT device, but my mobile phone is." Yeah. That's the easiest way to define it, unless your chair's got like a Wi-Fi signal.
I was going to say, like, you've got like chairs that have got like USB chargers in them now, so maybe you
But
could.
But that's got to have internet. You've got to be able to charge and then tell your phone, your phone is charging.
So if I take a USB cable from my sofa, which has a USB port in it to charge phones, if I take a USB cable from that and put it in my router, is my sofa?
I don't think you can just force it to have the internet.
Is my sofa an internet?
In some way. You're just like, if I'm holding an Ethernet cable, am I IoT? Widget or app?
Sorry, that's really deep.
It's a serious stream.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Widget or app?
Sorry. Am I IoT? That's good. I like that.
Right, clip it for the socials.
One more.
Yeah.
Go on.
Oh.
No, I was going to say the thing.
Widget or app?
Yeah, a widget or app. So I guess if widget SDK is like the complicated version of building those things, I would see widget or app as the, I go on my phone, I open up the TikTok app. I know that's an app. I don't know how it's built. Yeah. Therefore, that is the app part, and the SDK is like the underlying technical part behind that.
Yeah, I mean, that would be my perception. I will read this out specifically because I'm sure there's people with more technical level that are going to pick out something. But it's a widget or an app. It's a small software application that displays specific content or performs a particular function. Talking more about digital signage here, ranging from weather updates, news stickers, social media feeds, interactive surveys, wayfinding apps. So just a packaged application that you install or load into your software to run it. So we have apps in our marketplace that you can use. And they're all kind of predefined. So there'll be drop-down options to make selections. There might be buttons or interactivity, but it's all packaged into one item that you then kind of upload. Yeah. Asher says, so it's how your Alexa connects to your light bulbs over your Wi-Fi. Yeah. In essence, yeah. And it's,
that was with the last one, right? Internet of Things.
Yeah, that's much better than my just holding onto a cable and being IoT. Yeah. Sync. I think you just did a video around this. No, it was takeover. So
I did same technology, right? So sync I guess the synchronous playback of, or not even necessarily playback, right? But if we're talking digital signage, it would be the synchronous playback of content. Yeah. But I guess sync in a more broader term would be any two things happening at the exact same time in sync with each other.
Yeah. I mean, I guess from a digital signage perspective, we're typically talking about the synchronization of content over multiple screens. And that's worth defining the difference between that and video walls, because not all video walls are sync and not all sync are video walls. There's some crossover there. Synchronization is not utilizing one device with multiple outputs and making it one large canvas like a video wall is. Yeah. It's basically using a time code on the asset to say at frame 1, all of these screens are going to be playing frame 1 at the same time. Then they're going to be playing frame 2 at the same time, and they're using the time codes to make sure that they delivered in unison. Yeah,
and the I guess the way to think about that is as well that those assets, as they're progressing from asset to asset, they're not proceeding unless all of the assets are in line, if that makes sense. If for whatever reason you turned off one player and you had more than one in sync, and they were trying to proceed to the next asset, but one wasn't there, or whatever one assumed the master because they assumed the role of a master, it would wait until the rest of the assets the other assets would wait till their master gets to that stage so that they can progress together.
Okay, I didn't know that, so great. I'll leave you that one. Okay, that one's That was good. The other one, actually, and this to me is just some kind of magic that I don't understand how it works, but it's encoding or an encoder.
Yeah.
They're two different things. I know what both of them do, but I honestly don't know how it works.
Yeah.
I don't want you to explain that because I think that's complex, but if
I mean,
you've got any insight, but what is the act of encoding?
I mean, yeah, so the act of encoding is I guess in its simplest form, changing the preferences of a file from one format to another.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I don't necessarily think that means, I know once upon a time you could just change your the file extension on the end of a file from PNG to JPEG, and then suddenly, I don't think that's encoding. It's actually running a piece of media through a transcoding process to then change it, to transcode it into a different piece of media. So taking an MP4 with a media file, say that you've got an MP4 that's got a audio codec that's a WAV, you would have to go through that transcoding process to then change either the file format to something else or the audio format to something else. You could still have an MP4 with an MP3 audio or an MP4 with a WAV audio.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And I think the just from a digital signage perspective, you're hearing about encoding, you're typically hearing about it because of there's two major reasons. One is the file type. So if a particular device doesn't support a kind of file type, and I think it's becoming less and less of an issue, but there used to be, FLV files, MOV files, MP4 files, H.264 files, these are a ton of different files. Mm-hmm. Some players would accept others, some wouldn't. The other piece is about storage and size. So you can have a really crisp video that's 25 gigs just because you've encoded it poorly. And you can actually encode that down without losing any of the quality. It's more just about compressing that down to a size that's far more suitable for delivering online or, via a SaaS platform. Because if you're trying to upload a 25 gig file to a platform, that's hard but not impossible. If you start talking about trying to deliver 25 gigs worth of content to 200 devices over multiple different networks, it can be more work than is necessary, and to reduce that down makes way more sense.
And when it comes to, my support team will definitely relate to this, and I'm guessing anyone in this chat might have come across this before, that sometimes you'll try and play a media file and it won't work, and you'll re-encode it and it still won't work. And it's because there's when it comes to encoding, there's one hidden preference that is the easiest thing to miss.
No, I didn't know
and
this.
it's B-frames.
Okay.
Which is they're hierarchical frames, which is the gaps between each frame. I think that's the technical definition there.
Okay.
But
I don't have that written down.
Yeah, no. But this is me elaborating because some media players don't like B-frames, right? So you could be playing an MP4 that's perfectly supported on your player, but that player might not like B-frames. Therefore, if that MP4 has been encoded, you've done everything right, and there's a B-frame or it has B-frames in there, that has the possibility to create problems in your content. And it's one of those things that it doesn't always come up, and it doesn't always cause a problem. But when it causes a problem and you can't see the problem, my head goes, maybe it's got B-frames. Maybe it's got B-frames. And we do have a Help Center article on that. So there is more information on that I've written. But
free plug.
Yeah, free plug.
He came up with way more knowledge than the a couple of sentences that I've written down here. So
AI's got nothing on me.
go and add on to those. That's really good. And encoding, I think, is one of those things that it's becoming less and less of an issue. As I would kind of hope that eventually it becomes something that things fix in itself, but it's still something we need to bear in mind. And encoders, obviously, different players have different encoders, and it depends on the encoder that they have, depending on what they can actually play back. The other one on here, and I was just going to mention here as we go through, we do have this glossary. If you joined late, so would you be able to drop the glossary chat in there? Just
yes, absolutely. Give me a second.
Barry says a B frame is a type of frame used in video. So interestingly, and we're doing a bit of technical. Hey, Joe, the text came up for Barry. Is that just suddenly doing it? It's been doing that all the time.
Oh no, it's been doing it. Everyone's been there. So I was going to say, but I thought you might have seen it. Yeah, no, everyone's been there. Everyone's
copy and
here.
Paste, not my knowledge. Barry, you may well have copy and pasted that from Joe's article.
Definitely, that's come from my article. That's so Joe what he's written there. That's something I'd say.
You can just tell. Joseph's going to drop in. So if you didn't see this at the beginning, you can get a copy of this glossary so you can use it yourself, save it, share it, put it on a shelf somewhere. It's just a a good Bible to have in terms of language, and we will keep kind of building on this if new terms come up. So obviously what Stephen mentioned earlier, we'll get that added on there. But yeah, I appreciate you guys sticking around. We have got a few more pages left. Well, hold on, where are we at? 1, 2, 3 pages.
I'm trying to look without looking. I don't want
Yeah,
to spoil
don't look
this.
without looking.
No.
I mean, don't look with looking. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep going probably until about 4. I'm going to hopefully get through this. We are going to try something at the end of the stream. If it doesn't work, well, we're going to try something at the end of this stream. So do hang around to the end to see that.
Yes.
We'll see. Did we get to PAM or I got distracted? PAM?
PAM.
I nearly said it.
Is it proactive monitoring?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be something else.
I was really ready to give you the answer before you said it. Yeah.
And again, is that a Signage Live term? Because I know it as a Signage Live term.
I know it as a Signage Live term. I don't know if there's another one, but I have seen it turn up as a definition, but I think we use it very specifically for a use case in digital signage, whereas it can also mean a lot of different things, kind of like IoT. It is what you're doing. Yeah,
which is monitoring it's monitoring. I don't know where the proactive comes into it, but in our case, proactive monitoring is the ability to have real-time status updates from your from your Signage Live network to your mobile devices, right? So then you're getting real-time updates. If your player goes offline, you'll be pinged with an SMS that will say, this player's gone offline, or this player is successfully checking in.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would just define it by saying proactive is just the act of not having to go and find the information out yourself and you being told. So mobile phone, email address, email notifications, whatever that might be. Yeah, 100%.
So by extension, if you were to create like a Zapier, that's how they say it. Zapier Happier, that's how you say it. But if you were to like take Zapier, create some kind of Slack integration that would report on your, because obviously we've got the Zapier integration coming up.
Yeah.
That is in its essence a proactive monitoring system because you are putting that data from your network into your, into a Slack channel, right?
Yeah.
And then you would be getting real-time updates on what is going on with your player.
Yeah, 100%. And that's, yes. I was just going to say, Stephen said that he learned a thing or two today about B-frames.
Oh, there we go.
Which is good because it's pretty impressive. If you give Stephen any knowledge, then that he's already pretty well versed in everything. So appreciate that. We've added some value.
Yeah.
Another really simple one. We're kind of fluctuating a little bit from massively complex to very simple, but layouts.
Layouts.
Yeah.
Yep.
You have to know what this is, by the way.
Don't
get this wrong.
No, but I'm thinking of the best way to describe. I usually, when I'm talking about a layout, I called it like our content creator. I call it a canvas. It is the canvas in which you can, sum together different pieces of content.
Yeah, in essence, it's just zoned content. Depending on how you define that, you can be pretty ambiguous with it because it could be one zone, could be 10 zones, could be having things overlapping each other. It's just the fact that you're not pushing a singular media file full screen across the screen.
Yeah.
Anything other than that is going to be a layout of some sort, at least in our definition. I think that's pretty industry standard. I don't think there's any other CMSs out there using another language.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
And there is some argument here. A lot of it becomes universal based on someone just deeming and creating a new product and then saying, this is what it's called. Yeah. The playlist wasn't always necessarily called a playlist. It was just by definition something that became up. I don't know if I have playlist on here,
Uh-oh.
I'm going to add that.
Yeah.
Pretend I have already added playlist, but I have not.
Nice.
API.
So
we're fluctuating.
We're going from really easy to really
layout
hard.
to APIs.
Is it application processing interface or programming interface?
Yeah, programming.
Programming.
We'll give you that.
Right.
You're still 10 for 10. The kind of, are you just not guessing these and and you're just trying to add some suspense? Like,
yeah, I'm just a really good.
You know,
I said I worked in the school with the drama kids, so I learned a thing or two.
Yeah,
I'm a good actor.
It is in essence. What you said, application programming interface.
What's the actual definition? Because I understand it as like it's like the functionality of a platform, right? So our APIs is what makes up Signage Live.
Yeah, I had a really good definition told to me once that I'll try and say in a minute, and I'll get it wrong. So what it says by definition, a set of rules and protocols that allows different software applications to communicate and interface with each other. The application program interface, or API, facilitates interaction between different systems. This enables developers to access services from other applications without having to understand how they work. Essential for building software solutions, they allow for interoperability. So the way that it was described to me once, and it really resonated with me, was that if you imagine that you're in a restaurant and you're going to go sit down, you sit down at a table and you look at a menu and say, I want these 4 things. You know, I want the chicken and chips. I want this. I want that. And you talk to a waiter and you say, I would like these things. The waiter is your API because the waiter knows what you want. It goes to the kitchen. The chefs have all of the ingredients, all of the code. They have all of the raw ingredients, but you've asked for chicken and chips, so the waiter's going to bring you what you've asked for. Yeah. And your menu is a whole list of different commands or prompts or controls that you could do within a software platform. Right. And the API is in essence just a bunch of waiters going, what do you want? Yeah. Rather than you having to go and redevelop the code for the platform. Yeah, right. And I am not the most intellectual when it comes to that kind of stuff, and that really helped me visualize and understand what that was. Yeah. I've lost my piece of what was on my piece of paper here.
So all that talk of APIs.
Yeah, it really threw me, scared me. NFC, we've done that one, done that one. Right, I'm going to throw them on the floor so I don't get them wrong. Right. On that, what is headless?
I know it in our terminology. I don't know if this is I guess it's not a Signage Live term.
No, it's quite defined.
It is defined, right. Yeah. So it is headless is kind of, I guess, talking about APIs, that's like functionality, that's precious information about, you know, a piece of software, let's say, and or a interface or. Yeah. And I think that talking about headless, it's unlocking the door to that, right? And allowing other people to make use of that.
In a way, yeah, it's basically like, if you take Signage Live as a software platform, headless is basically all the bits minus the GUI, minus the graphical input, minus the thing you interact with.
So the functionality of Signage Live in our case then, but you know, I could build my own app that allows me to create a playlist in Signage Live. Yeah. But it doesn't look like Signage Live.
Exactly. Yeah. So you basically lop the head off of the platform and you go all of the stuff that's inside it, all of the things that are on and saved on Amazon servers or Rackspace servers, and all of the kind of logic is still there. But you go and build your own graphical interface. And we have customers that have done that. They basically rebuild their own platform. But rather than having to learn how to make a playlist, they just go, we'll just use the language that Signage Live has built. I interviewed a guy a little while ago from Bonn who built his own CMS, and he kind of stated, he was like, I built all of that myself from scratch, where he could have used a headless platform and just gone, and this bit needs a bit of playlist editing. I'll take that feature and just pull it. It's just like it's just like pulling out what you need and building it around your own platform. So that's headless. This one's a bit of a I hadn't heard of this. Okay. And if anyone in chat lets me know if you've heard of this before, Stephen, not you, I think you would have done. I think
Stephen
you already knows this.
Stephen has been silenced because he knows.
Do you know what narrowcasting is?
No, I definitely don't know that.
No, I'd never heard of it before. It
sounds like a TV. It sounds like broadcasting. It sounds like a TV term.
It's the opposite of broadcast.
Oh,
yeah. That's literally what it is. Narrowcasting refers to the process of delivering content that has been tailored to suit a specific audience. It enables you to narrowly focus and engage target audiences with content that's more likely to resonate with them. Oh, so for us, a playlist is a narrowcast of a broadcast, which would be a much bigger. You know, you broadcast a TV channel. You're not hyper focusing it on individuals. Narrowcasting is the act of making sure that your content's going to a specific place because you expect it to have a certain outcome. Right. Okay. Never heard of that before.
No, I'd never heard of that.
There's another one here. KPIs.
Oh, yeah, no.
It's not really a digital signage term.
There's a sales term, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. But it's thrown in there because often that's what gets published onto screens rather than it being part of the digital signage. Yeah. So, I think you're excused if you don't know that one.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know what it stands for. I know it's something to do with sales.
Yeah, it is. So it's key performance indicator. Right. Not necessarily 100% sales, but typically sales are often they want to display KPIs. Key performance indicators be anything. Basically, the concept behind a key performance indicator is boiled down I think the ethos is you boil down everything that you do in your working life to 3 things. And if you're achieving those 3 things, then everything else can kind of be forgotten.
Right.
You know, are you increasing sales? That's one of your key performance indicators. Is service support going above X number? That's a key performance indicator.
Yeah.
Is your business growing? Kind of everything else doesn't matter as long as those things are heading in the right trajectory. Then you've got free carte blanche to do anything else.
Right.
Okay. We now head on to the content section. We've got 10 minutes. I think we'll go to 10 minutes and then we'll lightning round to the end.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So content, aspect ratio and resolution.
Aspect ratio.
Yeah. No, you didn't pick. You picked one. Aspect ratio / resolution.
Oh, right. So, aspect ratio would be like it's the sizing of your content, right? So if it's a 16 by 9, that means it is typically a rectangle. I don't even know if it's an exact rectangle, but I know 16 by 9 as a rectangle.
Yeah.
I know 4 by 3 as a little bit bigger than the square.
Yeah.
I know 1 to 1 as a square.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's aspect ratio. It's just it's a mathematical equation between the height and the length of a screen or a piece of media, whatever that might be. Resolution then being different because...
Yeah, so if you're making a square, let's say you're making a square frame, so the X and the Y are going to be the exact same number. So 100 by 100 would be a 1 to 1. 100 by 100 pixels would be a 1 to 1 frame. But you could also have 2000 by 2000, which would also be a 1 to 1 frame.
Yeah, and the higher your resolution is, typically the better quality the content is, or the higher your viewing distance is. So if you've got an 8K screen, then you've got a lot more pixels than if you have an HD screen. However, if you have HD pixel density on a massive LED billboard, that might still be quite good quality. So it really depends. So typically these LEDs or these digital out of homes, they have less requirement for being read right up close. So you don't typically have as much pixel density in the space that you have allowed. I think it's pixel pitch is what they typically use actually as a term, which is another one that I don't have on here. So there will definitely be a V2. Dwell time.
Dwell time. Ooh.
Yeah, that's again kind of just one off from digital signage and more about solutions around it, but curious if you know that one.
No, I don't. Is it something? I'm thinking dwell, so I'm thinking like something hanging, something like remaining around.
Kind of, yeah.
Is it like a cool down of some sort? I don't know.
No, I mean, you're not far off, but I think you're going technical where this is not technical.
Oh, right. Okay.
Okay, so dwell time is just the dwell time of an individual in front of a screen.
Oh, interesting.
So
okay.
if you have a high dwell time location, like a waiting room, then you might have 5 minutes with an audience member in front of a screen. Really short dwell time might be someone running as fast as they can to catch their train, and they have 10 seconds of dwell time. So, and then there's obviously things like content dependencies, how good your content is, how engaging it is can affect that dwell time depending on the scenario. So that kind of comes up, especially when we're talking about vision analytics. More kind of AI-driven processes from digital signage, which is a newer part of the digital signage piece.
It's interesting when you say dwell time and you talk about like fast-paced environment. I wonder if it's like a necessity that or a good common practice that if your audience is in a area where, you know, dwell time is, would you say dwell time is quick or slow?
Dwell time is low or high.
Let's take like the train station, for example.
Yeah.
If they're, you know, people are rushing for trains a lot there. So your ads are typically huge because of that.
But it affects things like how many words do you want to use? So, you know, you see big billboards, they're never a lot of words. They're, you know, the one that comes to mind for some reason is the American one, which just says, got milk.
Yeah.
It's 2 words.
Yeah.
You know, Nike, just do it.
Yeah.
It's just reducing things down to its minimalist element. And that, I think, is just about understanding the audience in front of the screen, which is far more around the psychology of what you're doing with the digital signage, more so than it is about screens and pixel pictures and densities and things like that. Viewing distance, to add parity to that. I think I might have just mentioned that one, actually.
Yeah,
So
I guess it's
how
how far you are from the screen, right?
Yeah, in essence, and that can make a big difference depending on the content that you want to display. So if you're really, really far away, but you've got a really, really big screen, then you might end up having the exact same viewing distance as if you're sitting in your room in your home, and then nothing changes. So it's all just about size versus distance. It's a really good, I'll have to link it up. I don't have it on me now, but I'll link it when we send out this VOD. There's a really good calculator online, which is called like the viewing distance calculator.
Oh, nice.
So you can just say, I'm 8 foot away and I've got a 43-inch screen, and it'll just be like, this is what you should be looking at,
Yeah.
and it just gives you a bit more of a guide, which is really good. This is out of sync a little bit. So zone, just to hark back to layouts a minute.
Yeah, I guess back
Yeah.
to layouts. It's a portion of a design or of a screen as well. Would you say?
I think so. Portion of a screen. Last one in there, IPTV.
Oh, I don't know what.
I'll get the sheet back. Hold on.
Yeah, get the sheet back. I don't know what it stands for, but I know it's live TV, right? It's a broadcast from an actual URL.
Yeah,
So
in
it's
essence.
using the internet to internet something.
Oh, come on. You've got them all right. I want to see.
Internet production. No, production.
No,
I don't know.
it's Internet Protocol Television.
Nice.
Or
Right.
IPTV.
Yeah.
So, yeah, IP networks, internet, just basically streaming TV over an internet feed, which is then received on the device.
Yeah.
So, I don't know whether you define something like a live stream like this as IPTV. I guess you could do it some way. I don't actually know. I don't know why I asked that question.
Would our camera up there be an IPTV?
Yes, it is, because that is actually streaming. So the way we're ingesting that is through the Ethernet cable that's attached to our wireless network, which we're then picking up from here.
Right.
All right. How long we got? 5 minutes. We got 2 sheets left. There's
Come
about 8 more.
Lightning round.
Hold on. If you're still here, thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate it. I think we've had very small amounts of technical glitches, so I'm very glad.
Yeah.
But do stick around to the end, and there'll be a treat well, we'll see. Okay, SSO.
Single sign on.
Yep. What is it?
Oh, I thought we were. I thought we were lightning round.
Oh, we've still got 4 minutes.
All right, cool. Yeah, no. So single sign on. Using a particular login credential to sign in various places. Would that be a right way to say it?
Yeah, allowing users to access multiple applications or systems using a single set of credentials.
Yeah.
Then to kind of pair that up with the next one, which is 2FA.
Yep, which is two-factor authentication.
Yep.
Which is using a authenticator of some sort to gain access to said account.
Yep. Enhances digital signage security by requiring users to provide 2 forms of identification before accessing systems or content. The process typically requires a password and a verification code that is sent to the user's smartphone. Safeguarding security in the event that your password becomes compromised, it protects your digital signage access point as well as your data.
Nice.
And Stephen also said maybe add multicast to the glossary near the IPTV, the multicast stream being essential to the streams going more than one device.
Oh,
cool.
nice.
Thank you for that. I will add that. Okay, we're going to try and speed this one up a bit.
Cool.
GUP.
Granular user permissions.
Yep.
Which is basically giving you the ability to, trying to define these quick, to kind of tailor the experience for a user logging into Signage Live in this case, because it gives you the ability to tailor, to change the permission sets they have.
Yep.
Or the permissions they have when logged into Signage Live.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, it basically makes it quick and easy for you to securely assign individuals or groups custom access based on the management responsibilities for the digital signage. Ensures that you're able to distribute the workload across larger teams without permitting any access that is more than is required. So from a security perspective, it actually comes up quite a lot because you want to make sure you're limiting access. You don't want people who are just looking after content to be able to manage and access and order new licenses, for example. Or you want someone who's on the East Coast accidentally uploading and changing content for the West Coast, or you don't want, it's just kind of making sure you've got the permissions, as well as it also making it more secure. It means that you as a user don't have to see things that aren't actually your responsibility, and you can reduce that down, which will assist with things like training times as well. Network. Broad. How would you define a network? I think that's quite difficult, but from a digital signage perspective. From a
digital signage perspective, I guess like a collection of, I would say a collection of things, but it is a collection of players in our case. It's a collection of, but isn't that the case in like a network as well anyway? Like
I guess so, yeah, it's definitively, we're quite similar. Thanks very much, Terence.
Thank you, Terence.
Thank you for joining.
So network in the broader sense would be, or more the IT sense would be the network of all of the devices at this particular site, right?
Yeah. It's just a digital signage network made up of interconnected displays, media players, and management servers. It allows you to be centralized the control of your content distribution, scheduling, and monitoring across multiple locations. Networks can range from small setups in single venues to extensive deployments spanning regions and countries. They enable administrators to remotely manage and update content. at least from our perspective, a network being remote. A few more then, and then we'll do the last ones, which will be quick round. TCP/IP.
Oh, yeah.
No idea.
That is no idea.
Stephen?
Stephen, please.
I'm not going to leave you hanging on that one because I want to go through to the end of these. So transmission control protocol or internet protocol.
So it's network related still.
It is, yeah. So it is the basic system that makes the internet work. TCP helps break data like emails or videos into smaller chunks or packets and send these over the internet. IP is responsible for making sure those packets get to the right destination, like the correct website or device. And together, TCP/IP allows computers and devices to communicate with each other and share information reliably over the internet. So in essence, it is what you need to make the internet work.
Nice. Have you seen that episode of IT Crowd? Have you ever watched IT Crowd?
Off and on again, or which piece?
The one where they've got the box. It's got light on it.
Yeah, I know what you're
She's
talking
like, this is the internet, don't break it.
Good. Last one on modules, or last one on module elements. LAN.
LAN.
Yeah.
Something access network?
Yep. No.
Oh.
That's too quick.
Tease me.
You give me a false sense of security here. No.
It's something to do with network, though,
yeah.
right?
La. What's the la? I only know this because I used to play a lot of games when I was younger.
Something assisted network?
No, it's local area.
Oh, local
So
area
it's basically
network.
just it's devices connected directly via cables to each other, rather than it being, well, I'll read the actual definition rather than me just lying here. Uses Ethernet or Wi-Fi to connect all the devices in a specific limited area, such as your home office. This communication between devices ensures that resources like printers, files, and interconnected connections are shared between them.
The kids of nowadays wouldn't know what an Ethernet cable is, would they?
I don't know. My kid's starting to be more tech savvy than I am, and it's worrying. Okay, there's four more. So we're going to run through these, and these ones are going to be your Achilles heel because these are all about the industry of digital signage and how it is purchased or sold or made, rather than about the actual platform itself.
Okay.
But it's words that came up that I know I didn't know what the hell I was talking about at the beginning. First one being OEM.
Oh, something manufacturer. I know that.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I know what it is. I know it's something to do with the actual manufacturer of the devices, right?
Yeah, in essence, yeah. OEM just stands for original equipment manufacturer.
Nice.
So you're right. It's just any company that is manufacturing a product. Typically, I believe that's all hardware. I don't know if that's actually defined in here. But yeah, it's the builder of the final product.
Yeah.
But you need to know what an OEM is before you then understand what a reseller is.
Yep. Is a person who sells that hardware, or
Yep.
not necessarily the hardware either, sell the software as well, right?
Anything. Yeah. So you have a reseller. So a reseller is a person or a company that buys products and then sells them to others. They don't make the products themselves. They literally just are purchasing them in as and when required. They're typically adding in additional elements, in which if they were adding in additional elements, they would be a value-added reseller. And a value-added reseller is a company that takes a basic product, let's say a screen and a CMS and a piece of hardware, and they package them. And as well as doing that, they might do content creation. They might do additional support on top of it. They might offer, additional packages and services from a security or from a support perspective. They're just adding value. So you may be speaking to a reseller, you may be speaking to a value-added reseller. They both have the same concept, but they do slightly different things, and they go a little bit further if you're a value-added reseller.
Which of them would you call a vendor?
Vendor is neither
Or is
of
that
those.
different?
Yeah,
That's
vendor we don't have on here, and we should put vendor on there as well. So vendor is basically, but if we go into this one, which is distributor, which is basically the company that buys products in the large quantities. So at the very
Ships
top,
them.
you've got OEM.
Yep.
They manufacture the product. That typically goes down to distribution.
Right.
They buy thousands at a time. Then you've got reseller. They buy maybe hundreds at a time. And then you've got customer. It's basically from the top to the bottom. That's how that works. And I just thought that was good to add on to there because I know when I first started in this industry, that was not a familiar term for me. I sold chocolate. So I had no idea. And that is the end of our glossary.
That is the glossary.
Let's just check how we're doing here. So we've still got a few people left. We are pretty much done here. We've got a last Last thing we're going to try.
The last hurrah.
Yeah, but thank you very much for joining us. Joe,
Yes.
thank you so much for putting yourself through that, because I absolutely wouldn't have done it.
No, well, thank you. Thank you for being a good host.
No, I think you did really well. And so basically, going forward now, every Friday at 3 p.m, you can come here and watch our live shows. It's going to be a combination of, there'll be either Digital Signage Explored, which is what I do, and this kind of covers what you've seen potentially from the newsletter that I have running at the moment. So it's industry thought leaders, it's people who specialize in digital signage, it's customers, it's people telling their story of why digital signage and what value they're pulling from it. And then as a part of that, on the other side of the week, there'll be Signage Live Explored, which Joe, if you want to go over.
Yeah, so on Signage Live Explored, it's more about diving into the value that Signage Live brings to anyone in this industry, right? So if you're trying to overcome an obstacle, or you're trying to learn how to do something, or you're trying to, and not even necessarily with Signage Live, but I'm using Signage Live as almost like my toolkit to solve problems in that way. So yeah, it's great. I'm having a lot of fun with it so far. So that I'm actually the first episode next week.
You're the next episode. Yeah.
So next episode next week will be Signage Live Explored. And I won't tell you what that's about yet, but yeah, we've got a good one lined up.
So if you do want to find out, you can always go check out the Learn and Explore on signagelive.com. Stephen, thank you very much for joining. You absolutely, the more involved, the better. Absolutely 100%. So thank you very much for joining. Joe, I'm going to let you sign us out now with our planned surprise. So again, I've been Tim.
I've been Joe.
And we'll see you on the next one, or whenever you're ready.
Right, let's give this a go.
Oh my God. That was so much louder than I thought it was going to be. Okay. All right.
Oh my goodness. Can I do the other one?
Yeah, sure. I'll hold your ears.
Hold your ears.
Oh. We're going to get someone come in here and say, right, we're going to go tidy this up. I'm going to mute the microphone so you can't hear this anymore. But thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again on the next one.